Now this isn't your typical bedtime story. There are no dragons, no fairies, and not a single lost slipper. No, sir. Tonight's story comes from the scorching, swirling stretch of land where history naps lightly and prophets never truly retire. The Middle East. Two nations thousands of years old, equally stubborn, impossibly proud, and somehow always late to peace talks, Israel and Iran, decided recently to throw logic out the window. Again, you see, somewhere between ancient scrolls and modern scroll bars, someone said something, someone launched something, and now we are back in one of humanity as most dangerous hobbies, testing how close you can get to the end of the world without quite falling off. It started with a murmur. Iran said, "We're enriching uranium for peaceful purposes." And Israel replied, peaceful purposes, like baking radioactive challah? Then came the drones, hundreds of them, buzzing through the night like an angry swarm of bees that were expelled from drone school. But Israel's Iron Dome swatted them away like a bored cat with a laser pointer. It was biblical tech meets startup nation in full glory. Missiles lit the sky like rebellious fireworks. The world paused, popcorn in hand, watching what felt less like foreign policy and more like the season finale of a very expensive soap opera. High above it all, in a realm far calmer and generally lacking Twitter, the prophet Isaiah sighed. Sitting beside him, Gabriel the angel flipped through centuries of reports and prophecies like a worn-out intern. "I literally said," Isaiah muttered, "they will beat their swords into plowshares." Gabriel raised an eyebrow. "Well, technically they did. Then they beat the plowshares into smarter missiles." Just then, Ezekiel leaned over with a grin and a bowl of heavenly popcorn. "Relax," he said. "We haven't even gotten to the fire and brimstone part." Back on Earth, everyday people were trying to make sense of it all. In Tel Aviv, Yossi was on the phone with his mother, who insisted that the safest place during a missile attack was under the dinner table. "Ma," Yossi said, crouching beside a chair, "your table is from IKEA. One hit and we're brisket." Meanwhile, in Tehran, Layla sat scrolling through a feed full of political memes and panic. One image showed a dove being chased by a fighter jet captioned, "Middle East Peace Talks 2025. She rolled her eyes. Again? Her father walked in, sipping tea with the steady composure of someone who lived through 5 different presidents, 3 currencies, and 1 failed attempt at goat farming. "In my day," he said, "peace was difficult, but possible." What changed? He looked her dead in the eyes. Now everyone has Wi-Fi and opinions. Somewhere around the 4th missile volley, God summoned Jonah. Yes, that Jonah. "Son," the Lord said gently, "I need you to go to Iran." Jonah blinked. "Last time I obeyed, I ended up inside a fish. Is this another aquatic assignment?" "No fish," said the Lord, "just a flight to Tehran." "With or without turbulence?" "With turbulence, Jonah. It builds character." Reluctantly, Jonah packed his sandals and sarcasm and boarded a plane. The whale, thankfully, was on vacation. Down below, a missile veered off course. Instead of hitting a military target, it struck a beloved shawarma stand near the Israel-Iran border. And that's when everything changed, because nothing unites humanity like outrage over food. Within hours, shawarma lovers from both nations took to social media to grieve. An Israeli posted, "That was not just a rap, that was heritage." An Iranian replied, "We mourn with you, brother. Let us rebuild with extra garlic sauce." And just like that, world peace was trending at number 3, right behind a cat that played piano and a camel doing parkour. Emboldened by shawarma solidarity, leaders decided to meet. Not in Washington, not in Geneva, no, in the desert, where all good biblical mischief begins. Under a neutral tent big enough to hide awkward pauses and cultural side-eyes, diplomats from both nations gathered. There was hummus, there was mint tea, someone brought baklava. Things were looking up. The Iranian diplomat cleared his throat. "We do not wish to erase Israel, just shrink them slightly." The Israelis smiled. "We don't want to bomb Iran. We just want to make sure your peaceful energy doesn't glow in the dark." Both men chuckled nervously, but it was a start. Then, as they debated borders and oil and the moral complexity of falafel versus sabich, a scroll blew into the tent, an actual dusty, ancient scroll. It landed between them, parchment curling slightly under the warm breeze. On it were the faded words, etched in Aramaic. "Blessed are the peacemakers. Also eat your vegetables." They stared at it. Is this a sign or a menu? But they both laughed. Not the polite diplomat laugh, the real kind, the "we've been at war so long we forgot how to giggle" laugh. Back in heaven, Isaiah raised a brow. "Did that work?" God smiled. "You'd be amazed what baklava and a divine draught can do." Even Jonah, lounging by a celestial pool, cracked a smirk. "Not bad. Still not going to North Korea, though." Meanwhile, missiles were silenced, not by treaties, not by sanctions, but by an accident of shawarma and a gust of wind. People from both sides began to share more than outrage. They shared recipes, memes, prayer requests. Some even dared to play online chess together. The prophets rested. The angels toasted with sparkling water, and the Iron Dome took a long, well-deserved nap. In time, the children played again, mothers cooked again, and leaders, though still prone to drama, began to draft documents instead of detonations. Even the scroll found a home, displayed in a museum under the title, "Proof that Heaven has a sense of humor." So what did we learn? Well, that world peace might just come not through weapons or ultimatums, but through an accidental missile, a sandwich, and a scroll reminding us to chill out and eat our greens. And most of all, we learned that even when prophets grow tired and humans lose their minds, somewhere, somehow, grace breaks through. As you drift off tonight, remember this little verse. Buried deep in the ancient pages, but still pulsing with hope. "Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more." Isaiah 2:4. And if you dream of missiles tonight, may they all turn into butterflies. Sleep well. Amen.